The assassination and declaration. The vast observation deck of Nexus Prime stretched before Ambassador Sarah Martinez like a window into infinity. Stars danced beyond the reinforced transparent aluminum, their light casting gentle shadows across them. The diplomatic quarters that had become humanity's first foothold in galactic politics. Sarah pressed her palm against the cool surface, watching the distant glow of alien vessels docking at the massive space station. After 18 months of careful negotiations, she was finally close to securing humanity's place in the Galactic Coalition. Sarah turned from the viewport as her aide, Lieutenant James Parker, entered the chamber. His face carried the tension that had become common among the human delegation in recent weeks. The negotiations with the Korthak Dominion had grown increasingly hostile, despite the Coalition's attempts at mediation. "Ambassador, the Korthak delegation is requesting an emergency session," James reported, his voice steady despite the concern in his eyes. "General Korthak Vex claims to have discovered new information about human military capabilities that requires immediate discussion." Sarah nodded, straightening her formal diplomatic robes. The Korthak Dominion controlled nearly 40 star systems and commanded one of the largest fleets in known space. Their reptilian species had built their empire through calculated aggression and technological superiority. For months, they had opposed humanity's inclusion in the coalition, arguing that humans were too primitive and unpredictable to be trusted with galactic citizenship. "Any word from Earth about our military disclosures?" Sarah asked, knowing that transparency about human defensive capabilities had been a major sticking point in the negotiations. President Chen Wei confirmed that all information shared with the coalition has been accurate and complete. "We have nothing to hide," James replied. "The president also wanted me to remind you that Earth stands behind every decision you make here." The main conference chamber of Nexus Prime buzzed with the quiet conversations of dozens of species. Representatives from the crystalline Etherians, the gaseous Nebulans, and the insectoid Vexi filled the tiered seating arrangements designed to accommodate the galaxy's diverse forms of life. At the center of the chamber, a holographic display showed the current territorial boundaries of Coalition space. General Korthak Vex dominated the Korthak delegation area with his imposing presence. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, his scaled skin gleamed under the chamber's lighting, and his forearms moved with predatory grace as he gestured to his subordinates. His vertical pupils fixed on Sarah as she took her place at the human delegation table. "Esteemed members of the coalition," General Vex began, his voice carrying through the chamber's translation systems in dozens of languages. "I have called this emergency session because new intelligence has revealed the true nature of the human threat to galactic peace." Sarah felt her heart rate increase, but she maintained her diplomatic composure. Whatever accusations Vex planned to make, she would face them with the dignity befitting Earth's first galactic ambassador. "The humans claim to seek peaceful integration into our coalition," Vex continued, activating the central holographic display. "But their own historical records tell a different story. These creatures have spent their entire evolutionary history in constant warfare. They have perfected the art of destruction in ways that surpass even the most aggressive species in our database." The hologram shifted to show clips of human history, ancient battles, world wars, and the nuclear devastation of Earth's past. Sarah recognized the propaganda technique immediately. By focusing only on humanity's conflicts while ignoring their achievements in art, science, and cooperation, Vex was painting humans as nothing more than violent primitives. Furthermore, Vex declared, his voice rising, "Human military doctrine includes concepts that violate the fundamental principles of civilized warfare. They employ tactics of deception, psychological manipulation, and what they term asymmetric warfare that would give them unfair advantages against honorable opponents." Sarah stood, her voice clear and confident as she addressed the assembly. "Honorable delegates, General Vex speaks of human history as though we are ashamed of our past. We are not. Yes, humanity has known war, but from conflict we learned the value of peace. Our struggles taught us innovation, cooperation, and the determination to survive against impossible odds. These are not weaknesses to be feared, but strengths that could benefit the entire coalition." "Survival instincts of a predator species," Vex roared, his forearms spreading wide. The Coalition has no place for creatures whose first response to any problem is violence and trickery. The chamber erupted in discussions among the various delegations. Sarah could see that some species were nodding in agreement with Vex's assessment, while others appeared more thoughtful. The future of human galactic citizenship hung in the balance of this moment. General Vex, Sarah replied calmly, humanity seeks to contribute to galactic civilization, not dominate it. We offer our scientific knowledge, our cultural diversity, and our proven ability to overcome challenges through creative thinking and unwavering determination. Your determination is exactly what makes you dangerous, Vex snarled. A species that refuses to surrender, that fights with the desperation of cornered animals, has no place among civilized races. Sarah was about to respond when she noticed something wrong with the chamber's atmospheric readings on her personal display. The air composition was shifting, and her enhanced diplomatic training immediately recognized the signs of an environmental attack. Someone was introducing a toxin specifically designed to affect human respiratory systems. James, she whispered urgently to her aide. Emergency Protocol 7. But before Lieutenant Parker could activate the human delegation's emergency beacon, Sarah felt her throat constricting. The invisible poison was already taking effect, and she realized with growing horror that this was no accident. As she struggled to breathe, she saw General Vex watching her with cold satisfaction. Even now, the human shows her species' weakness, Vex announced to the chamber, his voice carrying easily over the growing commotion as other delegates realized what was happening. Unable to adapt to a simple atmospheric modification that any civilized species would easily tolerate, Sarah collapsed to her knees, her vision blurring, but her mind remained clear enough to understand the truth. This was not just an attack on her life. It was a calculated assassination designed to prevent human entry into the Coalition. With her last conscious thought, she activated her personal recording device, ensuring that her final message would reach Earth. This is Ambassador Sarah Martinez, she whispered into the device, her voice barely audible. The Korthak Dominion has assassinated me to prevent human coalition membership. Tell President Chen, tell Earth, that humanity's future lies among the stars, no matter the cost. The chamber fell silent as Ambassador Sarah Martinez, humanity's first galactic diplomat, died on the floor of Nexus Prime. The assassination had been witnessed by representatives of 47 species, and the message was clear. Humans were not welcome in civilized galactic society. Lieutenant Parker's emergency beacon finally activated, sending an encrypted burst transmission toward Earth. The message would take 6 hours to reach home through the quantum relay network, carrying news that would fundamentally alter humanity's relationship with the galaxy forever. On Earth, President Chenwei was reviewing agricultural reports in the underground command center of New Geneva when the priority communication arrived. The aging leader had spent his entire political career working toward the dream of galactic citizenship, believing that humanity's future depended on joining the greater community of intelligent species. Sir, came the voice of communications, Director Lisa Chen, her tone carrying the weight of catastrophic news. We have an urgent transmission from Nexus Prime. Ambassador Martinez is dead. She was assassinated during the coalition session by the Korthak Dominion. President Chen felt the world shift around him. Sarah Martinez had been more than just a diplomat. She had been humanity's hope made manifest, their proof that humans could evolve beyond their violent past to take their place among the stars. Get me Admiral Marcus Stone immediately, the president ordered, his voice carrying a steel that his advisors had never heard before. And convene an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. If the galaxy wants to see what humanity is truly capable of, then by God we'll show them. Admiral Marcus Stone arrived at the command center within 20 minutes, his weathered face grim as he reviewed the intelligence reports from Nexus Prime. As the commander of Earth's growing space fleet, Stone had spent years preparing for the possibility that humanity's entry into galactic politics might require more than diplomacy. Sir, we have 47 ships ready for immediate deployment, Stone reported. The new Apollo-class destroyers are equipped with the experimental quantum drive systems, and our intelligence networks have been mapping Korthak military positions for the past year. President Chen stood before the massive holographic display showing known galactic territories. For the first time in human history, Earth was preparing for interstellar war, not as conquistadors or invaders, but as a species demanding the right to exist among the stars. Admiral Stone, prepare the fleet for Operation Starfall, the President commanded. The Korthak Dominion believes they have eliminated humanity's voice in galactic affairs. They are about to learn that they have only given us reason to speak much louder. The order went out across Earth's military networks. Humanity was going to war, not for conquest or resources, but for recognition, for respect, and for the right to determine their own destiny among the stars. The galaxy had seen fit to murder humanity's peaceful representative. Now they would meet humanity's warriors. In the depths of space, human vessels began their journey toward Korthak territory, carrying with them the concentrated fury of an entire species that had been underestimated for the last time. The assassination of Ambassador Sarah Martinez would be remembered as the moment when humanity stopped asking for permission to join galactic civilization and began taking their place by force. The war unfolds, and human ingenuity, the bridge of the UES Defiance, hummed with controlled energy as Admiral Marcus Stone studied the tactical display showing Korthak fleet positions near the border system of Kepler 442. 3 weeks had passed since Ambassador Martinez's assassination, and humanity's response had already shattered several galactic assumptions about human military capabilities. Captain Elena Rodriguez approached Stone's command station, her expression carrying the quiet confidence that had become characteristic of human commanders since the war began. As the captain of humanity's newest Apollo-class destroyer, she had led the vanguard strikes that eliminated 6 Korthak outposts in the opening phase of Operation Starfall. Admiral, long-range sensors are detecting the Korthak 7th Fleet moving into defensive positions around their mining colony on Xerion 4, Rodriguez reported. General Vex is commanding from the Dreadnought Dominator. Intelligence suggests he's planning to make his stand there. Stone nodded, his weathered hands moving across the holographic tactical interface. The Korthak military doctrine relied heavily on overwhelming firepower and superior technology. Their plasma cannons could penetrate most known armor systems, and their energy shields had never been breached by conventional weapons. For 3 centuries, this combination had made them nearly invincible in space combat. What they don't understand, Stone mused aloud, is that humans don't fight conventional wars. The genius of human military evolution lay not in superior technology, but in adaptability. Where other species developed better weapons, humans developed better tactics. Where aliens created stronger armor, humans found ways to avoid being hit entirely. The same creativity that had allowed humanity to survive ice ages, plagues, and global conflicts was now being applied to interstellar warfare. Captain Rodriguez, initiate Protocol 7, Stone ordered. Let's show the Korthak what human engineering really looks like. Across the human fleet, 27 vessels began a coordinated transformation that would have been impossible for any other species to conceive. The Apollo-class destroyers weren't traditional warships. They were modular, construction platforms disguised as military vessels. As the fleet approached the Korthak defensive line, each ship began deploying prefabricated components that had been secretly manufactured in Earth's orbital shipyards. Within 6 hours, the 27 destroyers had become the framework for a massive space-based manufacturing facility. Automated systems began assembling weapons, defensive platforms, and support vessels using raw materials harvested from nearby asteroids. The facility, designated Mobile Base Alpha, represented humanity's answer to the Korthak technological advantage. If humans couldn't match alien technology, they would simply build more of everything else. General Korthak Vex watched the human construction efforts from the bridge of his dreadnought. His vertical pupils dilated with confusion and growing concern. In 3 centuries of conquest, no enemy had ever attempted to build military infrastructure during active combat operations. The concept violated every principle of civilized warfare. Communications Officer Thex, Vex commanded, his 4 arms, gesturing emphatically, demand that the humans explain this violation of galactic combat protocols. Their behavior is completely unpredictable and potentially dangerous to both fleets. The response from Admiral Stone came quickly, transmitted on all frequencies so that every ship in both fleets could hear it clearly. General Vex, humans don't follow protocols written by species that murder diplomats. We make our own rules. What followed was 3 days of the most unconventional space combat the galaxy had ever witnessed. Instead of traditional fleet engagements, humans deployed swarms of small, fast attack craft that had been assembled in real time by Mobile Base Alpha. These vessels, no larger than atmospheric shuttles, moved with erratic patterns that made them nearly impossible for Korthak targeting systems to track effectively. But the real shock came when the Korthak fleet attempted their standard tactic of overwhelming firepower. Their massive plasma cannons, designed to destroy capital ships with single shots, found themselves firing at targets that seemed to phase in and out of existence. The human attack craft weren't using advanced cloaking technology. They were using mirrors, chaff, and holographic projectors to create false targets while the real ships attacked from unexpected angles. "This is impossible," General Vex roared as his tactical officers reported the loss of their 5th escort cruiser to what appeared to be invisible attackers. How are they masking their approach vectors? The answer would have amused any human child. The attack craft were hiding behind debris, using the destroyed remains of earlier engagements as mobile cover while they maneuvered into firing positions. It was a tactic that would have occurred to any species that had ever played hide-and-seek, but the Korthak military mind couldn't comprehend such an undignified approach to warfare. Captain Rodriguez found herself commanding one of these unconventional attack squadrons, leading 12 small craft against a Korthak heavy cruiser. The massive alien vessel, 3 times the size of a human destroyer, was attempting to break through to attack Mobile Base Alpha directly. "Red Squadron, initiate maneuver Charlie 7, Rodriguez ordered over the combat network. "Remember, we're not trying to destroy that cruiser. We just need to convince it to destroy itself." The 12 human craft began what appeared to be a suicidal frontal assault on the Korthak cruiser. The alien vessel's defensive systems responded predictably, filling space with plasma fire designed to vaporize the attacking ships. But the human craft weren't where they appeared to be. Sophisticated electronic warfare systems were projecting false signatures while the real ships used the cruiser's own weapon fire as cover for their approach. Rodriguez's actual target wasn't the cruiser's hull, but its communication array. Human intelligence had discovered that Korthak ships relied on constant coordination between their various systems, with all major functions controlled by a central AI that required uninterrupted data flow to operate effectively. By severing the ship's internal communications, the humans could turn the cruiser's own defensive systems against each other. The plan worked perfectly. As the Korthak cruiser's weapon systems lost coordination with its navigation and defense protocols, the massive vessel began firing randomly, including at its own escort fighters. Within minutes, the cruiser was dead in space, its crew desperately trying to restore manual control over systems that had been designed to operate autonomously. Admiral Stone, Rodriguez reported back to the Fleet Command. "The Korthak heavy cruiser is neutralized. No human casualties." Stone smiled grimly as he watched similar reports coming in from across the battlefield. This was the true strength of human military thinking, the ability to turn an enemy's advantages into weaknesses. The Korthak reliance on superior technology had made them dependent on systems they didn't fully understand. While human crews could adapt to equipment failure, communication breakdowns, and unexpected situations because they had learned to expect the unexpected. The tide of battle shifted dramatically when Mobile Base Alpha completed its most ambitious project, a massive kinetic bombardment platform that used electromagnetic acceleration to launch projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The projectiles themselves were nothing more than refined iron ingots, but when accelerated to near-relativistic velocities, they carried enough energy to penetrate any known defensive system. General Vex realized his tactical error too late. By focusing on the human fleet's unconventional attack patterns, he had ignored the growing threat of their construction platform. Now, as relativistic projectiles began systematically destroying his most powerful vessels, he understood that humanity fought war not as a contest between opposing forces, but as a problem-solving exercise where every challenge required a creative solution. All ships, implement retreat pattern Omega, Vex commanded, his voice carrying the weight of species-wide humiliation. Signal the coalition that the Korthak Dominion requests immediate mediation of this conflict. But Admiral Stone had no intention of allowing the architects of Ambassador Martinez's murder to escape justice. As the Korthak fleet began its withdrawal, human vessels moved to intercept, not to destroy, but to capture. Every Korthak ship found itself surrounded by clouds of small human craft that attached themselves like parasites to the alien hulls. General Vex, Admiral Stone broadcasted across all channels, "You are now prisoners of war. Your vessels are disabled but intact. Your crews are unharmed, and you will be treated according to the highest standards of civilized conduct. This is how real warriors behave." The capture of the Korthak 7th Fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For the first time in recorded history, an entire Korthak battle group had been defeated without the destruction of a single enemy vessel. Human military doctrine based on precision, creativity, and the fundamental belief that problems could be solved through ingenuity had proven superior to the brute force approach that had dominated galactic warfare for millennia. In the weeks that followed, representatives from dozens of species arrived at Nexus Prime to observe the human delegation that replaced Ambassador Martinez. President Chenwei himself led this new embassy, accompanied by Admiral Stone and a full military escort that made it clear humanity would never again rely solely on diplomatic protection. Esteemed members of the coalition, President Chen addressed the assembly from the same chamber where Sarah Martinez had died. Humanity comes before you not as supplicants seeking membership, but as equals demanding recognition. We have proven that our species possesses qualities that could benefit every civilization represented here: adaptability, creativity, and the determination to defend not just our own interests, but the principles of justice and dignity that should guide all sapient beings. The Etherian delegate, her crystalline form shimmering with what humans had learned to recognize as approval, spoke for many species when she responded. The demonstration of human capabilities has been educational. We propose immediate discussion of full coalition membership for the human species. General Korthak Vex, now serving as a prisoner diplomat under the terms of his surrender, rose from the defendants section of the chamber. His scales had lost their previous luster, and his movements carried the weight of complete military defeat. "I speak now not as a general of the Dominion, but as a witness to human capability," Vex declared, his translated words carrying through the chamber. "My species believed that strength came from superior weapons and overwhelming force. The humans have taught us that true strength comes from the ability to solve problems that others consider impossible. They have earned their place among the stars not through birthright or technology, but through the application of intelligence to every challenge they face." President Chen nodded solemnly. "General Vex, your species will be welcome to join us in rebuilding what this conflict has damaged, but under the understanding that assassination and intimidation have no place in civilized discourse. Humanity offers partnership to all species willing to embrace cooperation over conquest." As the coalition voted unanimously to grant humanity full membership, Admiral Stone stood beside President Chen and reflected on the path that had brought them to this moment. Ambassador Sarah Martinez's death had revealed humanity's potential for both vengeance and justice, but more importantly, it had shown the galaxy that humans approached every problem, even war, as an opportunity for innovation and growth. The stars beyond Nexus Prime seemed brighter now, welcoming humanity into a galactic community that had been forever changed by the species that refused to accept impossible odds as anything more than interesting challenges.